In the name I am that I am, son of tomorrow, I call forth the light of the living word, beloved Elohim, beloved archangels, beloved mighty Choans of the rays and the lords of karma. I call for the action of beloved Pallas Athena, beloved goddess of liberty, beloved Nada, beloved Kuan Yin, beloved Portia, beloved great divine director, beloved all-seeing eye of God, Cyclopeia. Let God's will be done, let God's will be done, let God's will be done. I do in the action of the sacred fire in this hour, descend on mighty cosmos, secret rays. I am the holding of the balance of Lord Gautama Buddha, beloved Sana Kumara and the seven holy Kumaras. I call upon the sacred fire, I call upon the light of God that never fails. Beloved mighty, I am present, come forth in this hour of the victory. Come forth in this hour of the victory of the God flame. I am the full power, beloved mighty, exceeding with us this night. Beloved Jesus, send to me, Lord, my Savior, Gautama and Sana Kumara. Come, Lord, now in the victory of the God flame. Send the light of 10,000 suns. Beloved mighty, stand, mighty, stand, mighty, stand. Around this fortune now. I call upon the great central sun magnet. I call upon the light of God that never fails. Beloved Estelle, beloved Estelle, beloved Estelle. I call upon the electronic solar rings of the great central sun, the seraphim of God. I call for the electronic fire rings. I call for the rings of the great central sun. I call for the great central sun magnet and solar power.
Good morning. My name is Deepak Chopra, and today I will be hosting for Robert Phoenix, as he'll be taking the day off, and I will be talking to you about astrology, Western astrology, and Vedic astrology, and I will be happy to take your calls for mere $25 per call. No, it's not Deepak Chopra, it's me. Although I think Deepak Chopra might have a show that runs at the same time that mine does. Who would want to listen to Deepak Chopra when they could listen to me? That's really one of the great mysteries of the 21st century, as far as I can see it right now. Hi there, welcome to Navigating the Astrological Matrix. This is not Deepak Chopra, this is Robert Phoenix. And we're going to be talking astrology today. A lot happening. We've got the Saturn-Mars conjunction. Hear that? That's the sound of my fist hitting my hand. That's the Saturn-Mars conjunction, and it's in the sign of Libra. It's like people, here's the Saturn-Mars conjunction, okay? I love you! I love you too! Let's be together, okay? That's the Saturn-Mars conjunction. It's intense. It is compelling. It is repelling. And it is potentially very powerful. I mean, if you enter into some kind of relationship contract today, let's say, for instance, you decided that you were going to take a relationship to another level with somebody, well, I got to tell you today, if you did it today, it would be the hallmarks of a very, very dynamic relationship for a long time to come. On a collective level, it has an interesting dynamic on a collective level. If we could ignite something on a collective level that would make some sense, you know, Mars, Libra, Saturn, Libra, I mean, we're talking social justice in a way that, I mean, what social justice is such a loaded term. When I think of social justice, you know, I think of the left, I think of the progressive movement. I mean, I think that, you know, social justice is kind of a catchphrase for Bolshevism or socialism. I mean, I think of the Russian Revolution as a form of quote-unquote social justice. So it's a loaded term. But I think if we uncouple it from its ideology, then social justice has a very wide-ranging application. And can we even achieve social justice? Social justice may not even be really achievable because of how many different points of view there are in the collective. Now, you might be able to achieve social justice in a place like Iceland, where it's pretty much all one people. And by the way, Iceland was the one country that did step away from the IMF's banking scheme, the lending scheme, the austerity scheme. And they did it. Why? Because they're homogeneous. They're a homogeneous culture. So in that sense, there is social justice. But to expect social justice across a broad spectrum is almost impossible to achieve. However, there are some things that are starting to break and crack through the collective concrete, and they're pretty interesting. The one thing that bears witnessing right now is the Penn State scandal. And I've been talking about the Penn State scandal for quite a while. And the way that it's been trumped up, by the way, my friend Dora McQuaid is at Penn State right now, and there's a big ceremony around the wall with the mural where she actually replaced Jerry Sandusky. But here we had the Louis Freeh investigation, and the Louis Freeh investigation, which Louis Freeh was hired by Penn State, by the way. You know, the government did not go in and say, Louis Freeh, X, head of the FBI, you go investigate Penn State. Penn State hired him. Penn State paid him. Now, why did Penn State do that? Well, Penn State wanted, in some ways, to limit the damage that this thing could really incur. And it's not just Penn State, it's the Board of Trustees. It is the executive branch of Penn State in relationship to the alumni and in relationship to Second Mile. I think it was 3 days ago, there was a story that came out on the Huffington Post where there was a witness to Jerry Sandusky and one of the Second Mile board members on an airplane abusing children. This witness has come forward. This is the first crack. Now, here's where social justice can really occur because, and I've talked about this before, the one thing that most people can agree upon is children. And if you can't agree upon children, then you got a real problem. Okay, then you should be somewhere, you should be cordoned off somewhere and really limited, have your access limited to kids, okay? Because we can all pretty much agree on kids that kids should be inviolate. Unfortunately, they're not. And in fact, they're probably the most violated aspect of our society. I can't tell you how many women I've dated that have been sexually abused, okay? I'm just being honest right now. Here's a little Mars-Saturn conjunction juice. I would say out of the women that I've dated, I'd say a good 65 to 70% have been sexually abused. And I think that number is probably not, I don't think it's out of question. I don't think it's out of line. I think that number, if you were to sit down and you were to talk to women and even boys, women to, I think, a greater extent than boys, you would find that those numbers are really high, really high. And I think we can agree on kids. I think that this is one thing that should be inviolate, although in my experience, with dating women that had been violated, it has not been. So the Penn State scandal is something to pay attention to because now it's come out on Huffington Post that there was something else going on. Now think about this for a second, okay? Wrap your head around this. They're in an airplane. They're not in a they're not in a trailer somewhere, on the campus. They're not in a secret room adjacent to the locker room. They're in an airplane. Who's paying for the airplane? What are they doing up there in the airplane? Well, we know what they're doing. We know what they were doing. And it wasn't just Sandusky, okay? It was one of the board members. So theoretically, this is an area where we could experience social justice. And here's what happens. This is what I hate. This is what I hate about America and the news cycle. Louis Freeh is hired by Penn State University. He does his investigation, and he basically points two fingers, Joe Paterno and Jerry Sandusky. That's it. That Joe Paterno knew that this was going on. Joe Paterno's dead. He's got no way of defending himself. I'm sure his family is desperately trying to defend him. And I'm not saying that Joe Paterno was a great guy, or he knew what was, or he didn't know what was going on, or he knew what was going on but didn't say anything. Likely he knew. And this is what I know about football coaches, okay? Football coaches and coaches in general are some of the most mono-focused people you'll ever meet. There are two things that they do in college sports. They coach and they recruit, and then they raise a family, three things. Everything else outside of that, they've shut down. And so I think that Joe Paterno was in denial. If anything, the man was in deep denial. He did what he thought was the right thing by passing it on to Graham Spanier and said, hey, you know, McQuarrie saw Sandusky, you know, doing it to a kid in the showers. I'm telling you. Now, the guy who really is in trouble is Spanier. And he has nothing has happened to Graham Spanier. Nothing. Well, he stepped down. Okay, he's out of a Penn State job. He'll surface somewhere else. But that's the only thing that the free investigation has uncovered. They didn't touch what happened to the DA who's gone missing, who started to follow this in 2006. He didn't get into any of this other stuff, like this witness who has claimed that Sandusky and some other guy who was probably the CEO of Second Mile, well, we're violating kids on an airplane. This is where social justice could come into play theoretically, and here's what happens with the news cycle. It comes out, everybody does their hand wringing. Oh my God, how terrible! How terrible! How terrible! Oh, the collective. Especially in the sports world. In the sports world, you know, these guys who have these radio shows, they'll focus on Penn State for probably about 48 hours, and then they'll move on. They'll move on to something else, the Dream Team or something like that. And then they'll come in and they'll say, what an egregious abuse of power. I think Penn State's program they should get the death sentence. And they can wring their hands and they can just say, this is terrible. And we've got to make sure that this doesn't happen again at other schools. And they take a bunch of calls, and a bunch of people will come in, and they'll vent, and then the news cycle moves on. If we have any chance, really, because I'll tell you right now, you go deep enough into that Penn State scandal, you will untangle things that would be very unsavory. And there's some very powerful people that would not like you doing that. You want a skeleton key? Go to Penn State. That's it. It's right there. It's right there. Because what would happen is that all of a sudden you'd begin to see how this would permeate outwards. And again, children are the most consensually agreed upon, inviolate piece of our lives. I don't care whether you're a progressive, or I don't care whether you're a conservative, I don't care whether you're Muslim or Christian. You theoretically honor your kids. And this is what we're supposed to do. When I say honor them, that's not putting them on a pedestal and putting a crown. You're honoring their innocence. You're honoring their life. You're honoring the fact that you've got to get them to a place where they can make their own decisions, determine right from wrong, have a healthy conscience, and then build with their lives, their God-given lives. If you look at it in nature, nature does the exact same thing. Animals in nature lord over their young. They will die for their young. And so we have this biological imperative. That biological imperative, by the way, is challenged to some extent when it comes to synthetic families. That's a whole other show. And maybe I'll get into that at some other point in time. But this is where social justice could really take hold. It's funny. I have a dear friend who lives in Paris. Not Paris. She lives in France. And speaking of somebody who's been sexually abused, she lives in France, and she posted something today on her Facebook page, which was a quote by Neil Donald Walsh, who I think, by the way, is a fucking fraud. All right? I'm being right up front. Here's my Mars. Here's my Saturn, conjunct my Venus. Mr. Conversations with God is a fraud. And this is why I say this. Because she posted a quote on her Facebook page. And basically it says, we must get over our restrictions and taboos in regards to sexuality to understand its true power. Now, on the surface, that sounds great. It sounds great. Hey, man, get over your hang-ups. Let people just express their sexual energy and experience their sexual energy. Who cares if you're straight or gay Who cares if you like to be tied up and, have your face peed on? It's okay. Just get over those taboos. Who cares? But when you really get down to it, what is he really saying? I mean, I think it's one of the most irresponsible things somebody who's a quote unquote spiritual leader can say. What if a taboo is having sex with a 5-year-old? Oh, just get rid of it. That's a taboo. Come on. Having sex with 5-year-olds? Oh, understand that. Because they have sexual feelings too. Right? And so just get over that. It's a taboo. We don't need that. That's a restriction. Oh, you want to have sex? What, you want to have sex with a llama? Go try that. That's a taboo too. Get over it. Come on. This is the energy wanting to express itself. I think statements like that are irresponsible. This is a guy who's supposed to be speaking with God. Get over your restrictions and taboos. I don't know. It's supposed to, somewhere in there's supposed to be some kind of liberating sacred message. And frankly, I don't see it in that message. I understand it on some level. On another level, I think it's completely irresponsible. And this is why our quote unquote spiritual leaders need to be held accountable. Here's my Mars. Here's my Saturn. Well, it's not my Mars. It's Mars in Libra and Saturn in Libra hitting my Venus. Let's talk about the upcoming phase of the moon. It should be very interesting. It is another new moon. It's a new moon. Actually, we get another full moon this month, don't we? And that happens on the 29th. That's the full moon in Aquarius, second full moon in Aquarius this month. It's a blue moon. But we have a new moon coming up on the 17th. And it should be an interesting moon. It is. Here's what I love about the new moon. I love the fact that the sky is dark. I love the fact that the moon's influence is at its greatest on some level and at its least, because it's not there. And yet the receptivity of the moon is greater at any point. I think there's a fantastic amount of freedom in new moons. And I think that the potential to anchor some other point of awareness without the omnipresent presence of the moon is very powerful. And I truly believe that people can live by the cycles of the moon, with the new moon and the full moon. This is all very old Druidic pagan stuff. Plant your intentions during the new moon, see them harvest during the full moon, and then work and reevaluate, reorganize on the backside of the full moon when the full moon is waning, and then start the whole process all over again. So it's in Leo, and what is Leo? Leo is sovereign rule over your domain, sovereign rule over your system, sovereign rule over your own life. It's not lording your sovereign rule over others. That's not how it works. It all starts within. You become the sovereign entity of your own existence, and then and only then will people begin to respond to that. And quite frankly, not everybody is meant to be a king and queen in this lifetime. Let's just be straight up with that. There are some people who can lead other people. There are other people who are meant to participate and follow, but they can be a king and a queen in their own lives. They can be a king and a queen in their own family. They can be a king and a queen in their own sovereign decision-making process. And that's important to know. So on some level, the Leo new moon is going to affect all of us. And I think it's the potential for a reset is quite profound with the Leo new moon. What's going to be really cool is on Friday on this show, I'm actually going to feature a Leo, Darren Williams. Darren and I got together on the phone the other night, and he called me from Liverpool. We were on the phone for almost 2 hours, and it's a great session. And we're going to be talking about cinema. We're going to be talking about Batman Rises and Spielberg, and really what I call the Cinematrix. and this bleed through from celluloid to reality, reality to celluloid, and all the pieces that are connected with it. So it's going to be a really good interview. And Darren he's a Leo, so it'll be a good time to have that recording air on Friday's show. So what I'd like to do today is I'd like to focus on this new moon, and I'd like to focus on how the new moon can impact you. That's what today's show is going to be about. So if you're going to call in and you want a reading, and I'm doing readings just because I got on my soapbox. I see I scared somebody off with my rant. I don't care anymore. I'm sorry. I am who I am. I'm 51 years old, and I am who I am. And you're gonna get it. I mean, I know it sounds like angry old man, but it's true. I'm 51 years old, and I'm going to give you my feelings and my experience. And for the most part, I'll run them through my filters to see, if they're really legitimate. And if they're legitimate for me, then you can work with it or not. So if you're calling in today, we're going to be talking about the new moon, and we're going to be talking about how the new moon can impact you in your life and in your chart. All right? Okay. There's not many people in the queue right now. It'd be a good time to call in if you want to get a reading. And I promise I won't be the angry old white guy when I read for you. I promise. I will drop into my Buddha Bodhisattva mode and be very gentle. Because, that's the thing to do. All right, let's talk to this person who's been holding for 21 minutes and 36 seconds to find out who they are and where they're calling from. Hello there.
Hello, hi. I'm calling from Hawaii. My name is Sandra.
Hey, Sandra with an S?
Sandra. That's right. That's right.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's beautiful here today.
Good. Well, thank you for holding and for calling in.
Oh, you're welcome. I just have a concern right now. I'm in a relationship, and we're living together. And I'm wondering if this is something I should stay with long term.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, tell you what we'll do. We're going to do a full chart for you today.
Okay.
So I'm going to reward you for your patience.
Thank you.
And being first in line today.
Nice.
So
okay.
Let's see. Where do we want to go? Let's go here, and let's go here, and let's put your. No, I don't want that. That's mine. Hold on. Just give me 1 second. There we go. Let's do that. All right. What island are you calling from?
From Oahu.
Oahu. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Give me your birthday.
3/21/1948.
All right. So you're right at the beginning of Aries, right?
Yes. And the year I was born, the sun was still in Pisces, I was told, because I was born at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like the sun was 3 hours from Pisces, I was told.
Where was that?
3 hours from Aries.
Where were you born?
Where were you born? Chicago, Illinois.
Okay, let's do that. All right, so there we are, Chicago, Illinois, and according to my chart, I have you at 0 degrees Aries.
Okay, I am. Okay.
Yeah, 0 degrees Aries. So that clears up some maybe misunderstanding or confusion in your chart. So 0 degrees Aries, let's just talk about that for a second. It's a really powerful degree of Aries. Cool. It is the first. So theoretically, 0 degrees Aries starts the entire astrological cycle. So you are directly at the beginning. You're the alpha and the omega of the chart. And,
wow.
And 0 degrees in terms of any sign is absolutely the most potent. And I believe it's like quantified or it's at a quantum level in the sign of Aries. So one of the things that Aries is great at is self-actualization.
Yes.
Aries are the best. Aries people can move mountains. Aries people don't understand defeat. Aries people, if they see an obstacle, they'll go around it, they'll go over it, they'll go through it, whatever it is to get to the other side. The downside of that is that they can miss things along the way, and they'll get to where they're going, but it is often at the expense at times of other people. Now, when I look at your chart, you've got Neptune in Libra, which is in the 5th house, and in as much as you've got this incredible potential to accomplish a great deal in this lifetime, particularly in the realm of groups, group leaderships, or leadership capacity within a group, innovation, and really being kind of a very strong and supportive person in other people's lives with your friends. While you have great capacity in that area, your blind spot is in what we would call romance or affairs of the heart, because that's where Neptune is hanging out. You know, it's sort of like it's not a complete opposition. Neptune's at 11 degrees in Libra, and then your Sun is at 0 degrees in Aries, but it is your blind spot. And Neptune in the 5th house is kind of like overlooking other people's faults to a fault, and there would be at times a desire to not necessarily fix people per se, but give them a much wider latitude in your heart, because there's something here that you're trying to balance. There's while you've got this really fantastic Aries, super directed individual energy, the back end of that is not as developed, and so it's like you don't have your eye on that so much, so you're willing to allow a lot more latitude. Now, the thing with Neptune also in the 5th house in Libra is that what you really want is you want somebody that you can have a spiritual partnership with, and who can really meet you stride for stride, with that Aries directed energy. And the challenge with that is that if they don't, or if they can't, there's a script in your head that would say, well, that's okay because they can do this, or they can do that, or I can take up this, and I can take up the slack for them in this area, and I can literally carry them, and that's a challenge. That's a real challenge, and over time, theoretically, you would be able to, iron that out. Now you've got Jupiter on you've got Gemini on the ascendant, and Jupiter is right now right on your ascendant. Jupiter is the sign of duality. It's not really the sign of partnership. That would be Libra. But Jupiter right now, let's just look at the degree of Jupiter. It is at, as we speak today, it's at 12 degrees, and Jupiter's going to go backwards in 2013. It goes retrograde, and it's going to come back, and I think it gets to about 9 or 10 in Gemini. Anyway, it's going to be dancing around this trine with Neptune in your chart, which means when you have a Jupiter Neptune trine, there's potential to reevaluate your choices in romance, in the heart, and do it in a way that's expansive and have a win-win. Okay, now here's the tricky part for you, is that in 2013, you're going to get Jupiter directly on your natal Uranus, and it will oppose your natal Jupiter in the 7th house. Okay, this is the tricky part. This is the tricky part, because if this relationship that you're in right now is really not as solid as you like it to be, I seriously doubt that it's going to last past the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction and the Jupiter-Jupiter opposition. I think that's too much. That's too much intensity. That's too much friction. That's too much polarity for your current relationship to actually survive. Again, unless it's more solid. Now, you're going to have an opportunity, and it's starting right now because Jupiter is at 12 degrees Gemini, and it's trining your Neptune down there in the 5th house. So what I would do is I would have here's the challenge with relationships. So let's say you sit down and you have a come to Jesus meeting with the person that you're living with, and you say, these are my concerns. What are your concerns? Here are my goals. What are your goals? How do we get there? Let's take an inventory of love too, because what happens, and I've been guilty of this many times. What happens is we get into these moments where we're processing with people that we love, and we get into our grocery list, and and the grocery list sometimes feels like it's not loving, and when that happens, people begin to take umbrage, they take things personally, and if you can do that, and I think you can with the Jupiter Neptune trine, and say, look, I really love you. If it's up to me, I would really want this connection to move forward. I'd want you to stay here, and I'd want us to grow. But in the spirit of love, here's what I need out of this experience, and I'd like to know what you need. Because this is really the Libran potential in your fifth house. And then they can say, well, here's what I need. And they can say, well, I need this, and I need this, and I need this. And if they're evasive, you can say, this is not good enough for me. I want you to open your heart. I want you to tell me what you need in this relationship, where you want it to go. And here's what I need, and here's where I want it to go. Can we make this work? And you have the potential, at the very least, to have that dialogue and to expand the potential for understanding with Neptune in your fifth house, Jupiter trining Neptune. Now, if you can get there and you can have this connection, this communication, I think there's real potential. Now, your moon is in Leo. What did I talk about at the beginning of the show? The new moon, right? So I would have this conversation Friday. I mean, it's a perfect day. Where's your moon? Okay. It's in the third house. What is the third house? It's the house of communication. Your moon and your Pluto are exactly conjunct at 12 degrees. 12 degrees. Okay, very important. When you have, this is important for you to understand, when you have an emotion and your emotion becomes a thought, that thought can become a reality very quickly in your life. So you have a lot of emotional accountability because Moon and Pluto is a magnetizing essence. It's a magnetizing force in the personal chart, in any chart. Pluto draws towards it. It's ruled by Scorpio, and Scorpio is magnetic. And when you have Pluto and the Moon at such a close conjunction, 12 degrees, then what happens is that the emotional capacity, or the emotional body, is linked into the ability to manifest. So the more positive you are, the more positive you are emotionally, the more positive you're going to be able to manifest things very quickly. It's in the third house. It's in the house of the mind. Okay, now here's the last piece of the puzzle for you. You've got Venus and you've got the true node in your 12th house. And the 12th house is the house of the soul. That's what I call the 12th house. It's the house of the soul. And if you have planets in the house of the soul, then you have to literally go into the soul space to get in touch with those planets. Now, Venus is in Taurus. It's a great place to have Venus, but it's in the 12th house, and it's hidden. And the true node, where you're supposed to go, in your chart and in your life, is also in the 12th house. So one of the things that could really help you with that Venus true node in Taurus 12th house is meditation, and not only meditation with you, but meditation with your partner. So one of the things that I would throw out there as part of this, moment on the new moon where you're communicating on the new moon, part of the communication theoretically should also include silence together. That the two of you should sit apart from each other and close your eyes and then let your subtle bodies begin to communicate. Take 20 minutes and just be with each other. Drop everything, okay? And then out of that, then begin your communication. Because with Venus and true node in the 12th house, for you to get to any real understanding or solution around this, you have to go within. And because it's Venus, it's about partnerships. So your partner needs to go there with you. I don't know what his spiritual inclinations are.
Well, he doesn't have any spiritual inclination, and it'll be really difficult.
That could be an issue with your chart. Seriously, it could be a real issue with your chart, and that's part of what you're going to need to have come out with this diagnostic, or at least this communication. What's his sign?
Yeah, he's a Gemini. He's a Gemini horse. Yeah.
Okay, he's a Gemini horse.
Yeah.
And you're an Aries rat.
Rat. Yeah.
Yeah. This is not a good combination.
It's an issue, right?
Yeah, it is.
And
not
also, I think he has an emotional connection with somebody he knew before me. It's a real good female friend of his, and she's got another relationship, but they were bonded somehow before I even met him, and they're still really good friends. And I think they can't date, so I think they're just real good friends. But I think there might be something else there. And I wonder, do you see that in there? I dreamed about it last night. Geminis
just by and large are if they don't have a relationship, another relationship in their lives, they're certainly capable of having a I wouldn't call it a secret relationship or a secret life, but they could easily have somebody on the side in some capacity, because that's just the nature of Gemini. And you have Uranus in Gemini in your first house. So he would be a catalyst and a mirror for you, for sure. You've got Jupiter. You've got this T-square with Jupiter and Uranus and the Sun up in the 11th house. You've got Jupiter and Sagittarius in your 7th house. As far as relationships go, honesty is very important with Jupiter and Sag in the 7th house.
Yes, I know. With me, it is very much so.
Yeah, so you're going to have part of this new moon effect, and this new moon sort of come to Jesus or come to Mary moment, is going to be for you to get to have a really honest dialogue with him. So I would start from there. And here's the deal: the thing with the Jupiter-Neptune trine is that if indeed the relationship cannot remain in the capacity that it's in, you have the potential to expand and get beyond the limitations of what it would be like to end the relationship. It's not necessarily a closed loop. You could move on if you needed to in a way that could be loving, and there's a win-win for everybody, because Libra is investing in win-win, and that's where I think you could absolutely take this. Your descendant, which is at 9 degrees Sagittarius, Uranus now in Aries is trining your descendant, and that's a really powerful trine. And what that means is that you can catalyze and you can recreate your relationships in a very rapid and very almost quantum-like fashion. Like it can change very quickly. And if you have this moment, with this man, and you both decide that you're going to move on, he's going to move out, or you're going to move out, wherever that is, I'll tell you that there's the potential for somebody else to move quickly into your life is there with Uranus trining your descendant. So don't be afraid about being alone. Don't be afraid about somebody else not showing up. And Uranus is going to be trining your descendant for a few months. So, you know, it can catalyze new connections in your life. So take the new moon. Use the new moon to get into this dialogue. And if you're not satisfied with the dialogue, if it's not going the way that you needed to or wanted to, then make adjustments. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in.
You.
I appreciate that.
Well, you're so knowledgeable. Thank you very much. You really opened my eyes a lot. But you're right about that. A lot of things about me right on. Thank you.
Good. All right. Well, thanks for calling in all the way from Hawaii. Aloha.
Aloha. Mahalo. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Calling in all the way from Hawaii. All right. So let's keep this train rolling. Hi, you're on the air with Robert. How are you? And where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm calling from the Washington, D.C. area.
Hello there. What's your name?
Dee.
Hi, Dee. And what's on your mind today, Dee?
I don't know, just looking for a general. There's quite a few things going on. Not sure how to narrow it down.
Mm-hmm. Well, today, one of the things, I don't know if you're here when I was doing the introduction of the show, is that Friday we have a new moon in Leo. So I was kind of looking at how the new moon can impact people's charts, especially on Friday. And it was great because our first caller had moon in Leo, so it kind of kicked things off. Let's get your coordinates here, Dee. When were you born?
November 26th.
Okay. And what year was that?
64.
64. Okay. So you're a dragon.
Yes, I am.
How's your dragon year going?
It's okay. Could be better. It's okay.
What time were you born?
11:55 p.m.
Okay. 11:55 p.m. I was born 11:55 a.m.
Wow, okay.
And where were you born?
In Jamaica.
Jamaica. I'll just put Kingston in there. How's that sound? Because Kingston, Jamaica. Okay. Here we go. And there you are in all your cosmic glory. Let's see, where's Leo? Okay, so the new moon for you is going to show up in your 12th house. And that's a really propitious and profound aspect for the new moon to manifest in. The new moon is going to be, let's see, what degree? It's going to be right around 24 degrees, because that's where the sun is on Friday. So 24 degrees. So the new moon is going to be almost exactly opposite Saturn in your chart. You've got Saturn in Aquarius in the 6th house. Okay, so here's where the new moon could really be your ally. Saturn is in the 6th house, and it's all about, the 6th house is all about meaningful work and purpose and service and where you want to put your energy in this lifetime over and over again to build on your relationship with the material world. And so you have it in Aquarius, so it adds a really interesting flavor. The 6th house is ruled by Virgo, but Aquarius is, in some ways, it's very different than Virgoan energy. Aquarius is all about, the world to come. It's groups, it's affiliations, it's foundations, it's secret societies, it's the internet, it's mass media. Aquarius is mass media. And Saturn in Aquarius indicates that you have in this lifetime not just an opportunity, but you have an obligation. You incarnated with an obligation to work on these aspects for the betterment of yourself and for the betterment of others, since it's in the 6th house. You have a true Aquarian spirit in your chart, and time again, you're always going to come back to, how can I serve others, and how can I serve others in a way that is going to be the most open, the most optimistic, the most open-ended, and the most, in some ways, technologically advanced and savvy. So part of your role in life is to understand things like technology, social networking. These are all tools that you can use in order to make life better for other people. And you are here to make life better for other people. You've got a stellium of planets all in Virgo, and they're all in the 1st house. Mars, Uranus, Pluto, and the moon. So you've got this very intense Virgoan energy, which to me really suggests that you could be an amazing healer. I mean, with all of that Virgoan drive and thrust to help other people, you could be a really profound healer. And I don't know, and healer is such a broad application. It could be anything from being an herbalist to being a nurse to being able to counsel people, but definitely anything having to do with the body and having to do with nutrition and health, because almost all those planets have a wonderful trine with Jupiter and Taurus up in your 9th house. And Taurus is the body, and in the 9th house, it would be looking towards other cultures for treatments, applications, essences to be able to heal the body. So with Jupiter and Taurus in the 9th house, You could be very interested in, like, say, herbs from the Amazon or Ayurvedic herbs or anything that comes from another country or another culture that could bring health to people or bring beauty to other people. Health and beauty would need to be synonymous, though. It would have to be organic beauty. Could really, really serve you. Now, with the new moon in the 12th house, the meditation for you would be, because the 12th house, as I mentioned on the previous call, is the house of soul. It's where we get into the depth of our being. It's where we let go of the material world and the concerns of the material world, and we commune with our other, which is our soul. So with the new moon in Leo, the meditation would be, opposite your Saturn in the 6th house. It would be, am I serving in the right way? Am I serving the right people? Am I serving the right goals? Is my energy being squandered? How may I plug into my sovereignty and my spiritual authority in order to amplify what I'm supposed to be doing here on this planet? One of the things that would be really, I think, cool for you to do would be to look back at your family line and to look back at your family lineage during the new moon and to look at people in your family lineage who embody the essence of being a king or a queen. Maybe they were leaders in their community. Maybe they held public office. This would be a very important time for you to kind of meditate on who those people were, especially if they're spiritual ancestors, especially if they're no longer in the body. Because now this would be a wonderful time for you to get in touch with those energies. Maybe you can put a picture up of them somewhere in your house and light a candle for them, and say, hey, you were such a wonderful presence in other people's lives. Perhaps you can imprint this, etherically imprint this, and work with me in this area of my life. I'd like to learn how to do this. I'd like to learn how to bring more of this into my life because I'm here to do that. I'm here to serve people, and I'm here to serve people in a way that is not just fundamentally on a one-to-one level, but I'm here to have a larger message, because Saturn in Aquarius is about finding that larger message and bringing it out in a way that you can serve more than one person at a time. Although you do have that with all that Virgo in your 1st house. Anything else here that we would need to look at? You've got your sun down there. Let's see. Yeah. So this is, I think that this is a pretty good place for me to ask you any questions, or if you have any other, points that I didn't touch on here that you'd like me to look at.
Maybe relationships. All what you said is funny because I've been going through a transition when I'm trying to find my purpose.
Yeah.
And I've been asking myself, it's like, what am I supposed to do? I have a great job and I'm fortunate to have it, but something is missing. Like, what am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah. Well, what's really interesting is you've got all those planets in Virgo, and people that have a lot of Virgo in their chart, especially with a Virgo ascendant, they're incredibly competent, and they make other people look good all the time. That's the key to your 1st house. Like you are the person that will take up another person's workload 2 or 3 times, and you put your head down, you get it done. But the challenge with all that Virgo is that while you're really good at that, what's really below the surface? What's really, your back end, which is all that Leo, and getting in touch with your heart, because Leo is heart. And if you can find out what your heart really wants, and that's what this new moon is about, what does your heart really want? What does your heart really want to communicate to you? The higher octave of Virgo it's not just work, it's service at a much higher level. It's feeling like you're doing God's work. That's really what the higher octave of Virgo is about, because the back end of Virgo is Pisces, and this would be a good time to talk about relationships because you have Pisces in your 7th house, and Chiron is in the 7th house for you natally, and you're going to be going through your Chiron return. And I believe your Chiron return will come, I think, in 2 years. So for you with Chiron and Pisces, Chiron is like the Achilles heel of the chart. And your Achilles heel is in the 7th house. It is in relationships. And in some ways, like the last caller, this whole concept of having a deep and profound spiritual relationship is really paramount for you because of where Pisces is located in your chart. And in a lot of ways, if you had a relationship that was quote unquote spiritual, and what I mean by spiritual, it's that you share a similar path with someone, that you can do certain similar things that would augment one another's spiritual life, that maybe you would share the same belief system, or maybe you would share the same spiritual practice. That could be anything from like Tantra to meditation to yoga, or maybe simply going to church, the same church with each other. These things for you would be very, very important. And as a result of which, if you had somebody that could mirror that in your life, then it would allow you, with all that Virgoan energy in your first house, to begin to take, I wouldn't say more risks, because Virgo is not a risk-oriented sign, but it would allow you to step your goals up and then begin to reach out into other areas that you may find yourself drawn to in terms of profundity, in terms of feeling, in terms of your essence and why you're here. So the spiritual connection and relationship is very important for you. The challenge is with that Chiron. People that have Pisces, Chiron and Pisces, and I've talked about this before, as a subgeneration, their challenge is being okay with their spirituality. Their challenge is being okay with, hey, this is who I am. These are my belief systems. I see ghosts, or I see angels, or whatever that thing is, or I believe in miracles. To be able to wear that on their sleeves unabashedly. This is the Chiron and Pisces challenge, is to be spiritual without to live a spiritual life without fear of judgment. That is the challenge of Chiron and Pisces. And for you, that shows up in the 7th house. So for you, it would be, hey, I don't really have to settle for somebody who can't live the same kind of spiritually oriented life that I want to live. I need that person for my own spiritual growth. And the thing with Chiron and Pisces in the 7th house is that times Pisces is deeply connected to sacrifice. So there would be times you would sacrifice that just to be with somebody. And that's not enough. And it's not going to be enough now. Or you would sacrifice a person who potentially could be a partner because they may not live up to your spiritual ideals. So you have to come to terms with this whole concept of sacrifice. And I would say that for you, the key year is going to be 2013, because that's when Jupiter is in Cancer, and you're going to have Jupiter trining your Chiron in 2013. And Saturn is going to be in Scorpio, and Saturn is going to be trining your Chiron in 2013 as well. And you're going to have Saturn on your Neptune right around the same time, because you've got Neptune at 18 degrees Scorpio. It's a little bit before your Chiron. But I would say 2013 is a very powerful time for you in terms of being in the right place internally to have the kind of relationship that would really suit you. Because at that point, you'll have not only the confidence with Jupiter trining Chiron, but you'll also have the resolve with Saturn trining Chiron to make that type of relationship not only a reality, but a commitment. And I've learned just recently, over the past few months, that relationships are really about, ultimately, at the end of the day, the big C word is commitment. And commitment isn't just, hey, I commit to be with you. It's to be able to commit to somebody on a level that transcends one's own ego. And it says, I will commit to be with you, and I will sit with you while you go through your pain and your suffering to the degree that I can. And I will commit to that. And you will commit to me, and we will work through these things in order to get to the other side. And the other side is the lotus. The lotus, where you can be with each other in truth, in clarity, in trust. And until that process takes place, it's very hard for two people to be to share common ground. And that's where commitment comes into play. It's a very big deal. And I think that in 2013, you're going to have the elements that will align for you to do that in a way that is going to be really meaningful and can attract a person who has that same level of commitment, who has the same level of patience, who has the same level of fortitude, who sees you and says, I get you, and you're worth it. And you to them, I get you and you're worth it. So let's get into this together. Let's work on these things that keep us from being more intimate, that keep us from being more trusting, that keep us from being more loving. And for everybody, that's different. It's a different dynamic. There's a different length of time that has to be gotten through for that, because that's where the real work is. And I think 2013 shapes up to be exactly that time for you.
Great. That's awesome. Because I've been feeling that way. So this is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think for you, this new moon could be very powerful. So let's just circle back to that new moon in your 12th house opposing your Saturn, and light a candle to a spiritual ancestor. The spiritual ancestor, by the way, doesn't even have to be in your family. It could be somebody that you have a very strong affinity for. Maybe it's Mahatma Gandhi, maybe it's Harriet Tubman, maybe it was Jesus, maybe it's Buddha, whoever that person is that inspires you, they're part of your spiritual lineage, and you can have a picture of them up and light a candle, but it can also be somebody from your own family as well. So do that. Spend some time with that. Spend some time in meditation on the new moon, and allow the potential to be informed about what your next step is in terms of your own life purpose, because I think that's what's up for you during this new moon.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, thank you for calling in, Dee.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. All right. That's Dee from Washington, D.C. Let's go to the next call. Hello there. Hello? 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 Hello, hello, hello? Sounded like I was in the bowels of the Titanic there for a moment. Let's go to the 540 number here. Let's see. 540.
Hello, Robert.
Yeah, hey.
Oh, this is Eric.
Hey, Eric. Yeah, what's going on, man?
I made plans to go on a trip to Sedona this Saturday, and I'm just kind of curious if that looks like a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I know your chart. Absolutely. You got the new moon going on in Leo, and without a doubt. Sedona is just from a geophysical standpoint is bleached in sun. And when you're dealing with the new moon and really beginning to kind of transit actually out of the new moon and into Virgo with the sun in Virgo, but still nonetheless, the solar sign is in Leo. Sedona is a great place to be. So I would say wholeheartedly, 100%, yes, this is a good trip, because on the new moon we have the potential for realigning our intention, and with that solar energy, with the sun, with Sedona, beaming down on you, 110%, absolutely, seal of approval.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So what's your intention? Let's talk. What is your intention for this weekend?
Well, I'm going to a wedding this Sunday, and then I'm going to be sightseeing around Sedona. And the last day I'm there, I'm going to go on a bus tour to the Grand Canyon.
That sounds awesome. They've got Sedona is full of vortexes, and you should do a little on Sunday if you've got some sightseeing. And maybe you could go online before you do it. Look up people who could take you on some of the vortex tours of Sedona. That could be really interesting for you.
I'm actually going to have a personal tour guide who's going to take me on some vortex tours as well as some other spiritual work with me.
Oh, that's it. Perfect. Dude, that's great. I think you're going to have an amazing time. Absolutely an amazing time. And keep in mind, that the potential for resetting intention is really powerful during this new moon. So be mindful. That would be my word for you. Mindfulness. Mindfulness. To be mindful of who you meet. To be mindful of your surroundings. Develop this or really engage with the witness. With the witness part of the self, without being so witness-oriented that you can't interact with the world around you, but somehow bring these two into alignment. Because that mindfulness, throughout your time there, and this is a very powerful place, by the way, to be, part of this new moon energy, can be a real activation point for you. So stay aware, stay mindful, and really try to narrow down, what your intentions are, for the next 30 days, but really for the next 365 days, because we're talking about, in some ways, a solar cycle with the sun coming back around into Leo, its own sign. So in a lot of ways, this is kind of like a yearly cycle for everyone. So it's not just this 30 days, this next coming 30 days, or the next coming 14 days after that, which would be the full moon, but it'd be a whole 365 days. So take advantage of it, and really, especially on that tour day, that'll be very cool for you.
Great, that's great, Robert. And part of the reason why I'm going on the trip is also to kind of recenter myself, and find some new direction.
Yeah.
And try to spiritually evolve, I guess.
Well, the key word with the new moon in Leo is spiritual authority. It's spiritual sovereignty, spiritual authority, and aligning with the spiritual decree within each of us. I mean, that's part of this new moon. So, in terms of alignment, absolutely. And this whole concept too of spiritual lineage and predecessors is also very important. Just like I was sharing with Dee, the previous caller. And it's, because Leo represents fathers and the patriarchy. And so in a lot of ways, it's important for all of us to understand, what our spiritual lineage is and who our spiritual mentors or spiritual authority that we've objectified and placed outside of us in terms of images in the outside world, but also to understand them from an internal place. So, you can get in touch with some of that. So like in Sedona, it would be, like grandfather medicine or grandmother medicine. So you may want to plug into this whole Native American energy, which is really profound and in the earth there in Sedona. You're going to have a great time, man.
Have you ever been out there?
I have been to Sedona, and I'll tell you, my experience with Sedona is very different than a lot of other people's experience with Sedona. I was in Sedona, and I was on my way to Flagstaff, and at that time, I was on tour with a band, and I was the tour manager, and I was the van driver. It was my van. So we're in my van, and we're headed from Phoenix to Flagstaff, and we stopped in Sedona because we were going to go check out this little vortex where two of the band members had been married. Okay, so we're going off road, and we're in my van, and we go to this one spot, and my van's got all these people and all these instruments, and there's I'd say probably about a 5 to 6 inch drop from the path or the road that we were on onto a hard packed clay road that takes us back into the brush in Sedona. And my van hit that drop, and I didn't really think much of it. So that we went and we hung out in this area. We walked around. It's pretty cool. And as we're driving back out on the road, I'm smelling something burning. And I'm like, something's up with my van. So I pulled into this gas station. And by the way, this was in January. And it's really cold, and it's beginning to rain extremely hard, and it's about to turn into snow. And I pulled into this gas station, and sure enough, my transmission line is bleeding. So now I've got to get the band to Flagstaff that day, I'm driving an old Dodge van, and I go across the street to the mechanics and I say, hey, my transmission line is bleeding. Can you guys take care of this? And they said, well, it'll take us at least 2 to 3 days to get that part from Phoenix. So it's like, well, what am I going to do? And all of a sudden it kicked into my brain. Okay, I know exactly what I need to do. I need to go under my van. I need to cut that line. And I need to get a piece of tube and some clips and just patch it up. So I did. I walked down to the car parts store, and I got a little. There's a tool for this to cut these lines, and I got the tool, and I got the tube, and I got the clips, and I spent the majority of my time in Sedona underneath a van in freezing rain, fixing this van to get the band back on the road. And I did it. I mean, it was really empowering on some level, to be honest with you. You know, so the vortex hit me in a very fundamental way. It's like, here's a problem. How are you going to solve that problem? Because the people around you don't know how to solve it. And even the guy across the street, who theoretically could have even offered up the same solution I did, instead he was just like, we'll get the part and we'll change it out in 2 or 3 days. So it was actually a really empowering moment for me. I got the van back on the road. We navigated through the snow. We got the Flagstaff. We did the gig that night. So it was all good. So what
Did you ever make it to the vortex?
I didn't make it to the vortex, but we definitely were out into the. We were out in the scrub or the shrub or the cactus, and it was a pretty interesting place that they had gotten married, but the more interesting place was underneath the carriage of my van on some level. So there you go.
The wedding I'm going to is going to be at Merry-Go-Round Rock. I don't know if you've ever heard of that place, but it's supposed to be awesome sights from there.
Well, it's interesting, because this is my friends got married there too. That's where they got. And so anyway, all right. Well, listen, I'm gonna let you go back out into the virtual ethers. Have a great trip. And get into that new moon energy, and we'll see you out there in the virtual realm somewhere, Eric. Okay?
Will do. Thanks, Robert.
Okay. See you.
See you.
All right. So let's go to our friend over on the 469 area code. Let's see who they are and what their name is and what they want to talk about. Hello there. You're on the air. Hello. Hello. I'll put you back on hold. Could be a listener. Who knows? Let's go to 757. Hello there.
Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, this is Anastasia. I emailed you about a reading. I just took a chance and called for a short version, maybe.
So what we should actually do this offline, okay?
Oh, okay. Okay.
And the only reason I want to do it offline is because I don't want to expend the energy on your chart, here.
No problem.
So let's do that later, and I'll email you later.
No problem.
Just out of curiosity, where are you located?
Oh, I'm in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Okay, the home of ARE, right?
Yes. I've been there many times.
The Casey Foundation.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to go back on hold and you and I can reconvene later, or is there anything else you want to bring up or talk about?
No, I'll. Do you want me to hold or just wait for you to email me? Whatever is easier for you is fine.
Yeah. Why don't let's you and I circle back later this afternoon, okay?
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, let's try the 901 one more time. Hello there.
Hi, Robert.
Hey, Lenise, what's going on?
Oh, everything. Things are looking up. Everything's good. The sun is shining brightly.
Nice. We like to hear that. Absolutely.
Yes. How about yourself?
Lenise, it's an interesting time, and is the sun shining brightly? No, it's gray here, and I got to say, the last couple of days have been really challenging for me. Really challenging. Can I share with you and everybody else?
Sure.
Okay.
I'd love to.
I'll tell you why it was challenging. Okay. My son broke his leg 2 days ago.
Oh no! Sorry to hear that.
Let me tell you why it was challenging for me. All right. It was challenging to me because I had a conversation with my son 3 weeks ago. And are you in your car?
Yeah.
Are your windows down?
I'm going to mute you because I'm going to go in and pump some gas, but I am listening, and as soon as I get back in the car, I will unmute you.
Okay.
So you don't get all that disturbing. Sorry about that, but I got to get this gas. Okay.
All right. Wow. All right. Here's the story. 3 weeks ago, my kid my kid is in summer camp, and part of his camp is horseback riding. And he fell off a horse 3 weeks ago. And he says to me, Daddy, I had a dream where I fell off a horse and the horse stepped on me. So he fell off the horse in real life, and he told me about the dream he had after he'd fallen off the horse. And I said to him, you don't have to ride horses if you don't want to. That there are other options for you besides horses. You can do some other kind of activity. Would you want to do something else? I don't know, maybe. So his mom and I, we are not together, but we have this thing that we have to work out. It's called co-parenting, one of the hardest things in the world. Trust me. So I phoned her up and I said, hey, our son just fell off a horse. And he's had a dream that he fell off a horse and the horse stepped on him. Maybe he could do something else. Maybe we should listen to this. Well, I don't know. I think he should just get back on the horse. I don't think that's the message we want to send to him. I'm like, well, I understand that, but, maybe we can make the option for him available to say, hey, if you want to do something else, you can do something else. Just have him get back on the horse. She's an Aries, by the way. So he gets back on the horse. Last week, he comes home. He's got an award. They give out these little awards at camp, and the award was, hey, Daddy, I got an award today. Well, what is it? Oh, it was the Falling Off the Horse Award. And I looked at him and I said, can't you get, I'm supposed to go, ooh, great. Oh, congratulations. You fell off the horse and you got an award. I'm so proud of you. Good for you. First of all, it's a stupid fucking award to give to a kid. They just rewarded him for falling off a horse. Okay? What's a kid going to do? A kid is going to say, I got an award last time. Maybe I'll get a Hershey bar this time. And I said to him, can you give an award, a different award? Falling off a horse? And look, I've seen my kid on a horse. He's kind of edgy. He's edgy with horses. I went up there and I watched him last year. The horse was not it was not a Zen-like experience between him and that horse. So we move on. I get an email from my ex on Monday night. I'm at the emergency with Griffin. He broke his fibula. I knew how he broke his fibula. I didn't have to ask her, but I had to ask her because I can't assume anything, right? How did he break his leg? He fell off the horse. He fell off the horse.
Oh my goodness.
So you're there. You hear all this, right?
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I've been listening. I just say I had to make a lot of noise for a minute.
Okay.
Wow.
So anyway, he fell off the horse, and I've been dealing with this on a number of different levels, okay? Level number one was I had this intuition about him falling off the horse. And I asked his mom, maybe we should do something different. Where did that go? Level number two, I know that my kid was fucking around on that horse. I know he was. You know, for whatever reason, either he wanted to be reported, he thought he was John Maine, who knows? But it didn't end well. Now I get to deal with the fact that nobody listens to me, and, you know, and my kid probably should have been doing something else anyway. That's on my last page, John. There we go.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm amazed at how he had the dream before he fell off the horse.
Well, I am too, and it speaks to the power of dreams, and I definitely wanted to honor that dream.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I can see how you can be slightly pissed with her.
I was pissed, you know, okay, I'm not even going to go there right now. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
I understand.
So, anyway.
That was a clear sign for him to stay on the horses.
And I asked him too yesterday. I said, hey, you know, how do you feel about getting on that horse next year? He's like, yeah, right. Exactly. So listen, Lenise, I think what you should do is you should call me back when it's less noisy.
Okay.
I'm going to put you back on hold.
Okay, and I'll finish enjoying the show.
Okay.
Thank you. Nice touching bases with you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, that was intense. Wow. That was too intense, man. So the other thing, too, all right, one of the things that I do from time to time is I get confessional. And I'm a fairly private person. But the confessional piece can be very cathartic for me. Very cathartic. And maybe this is a way for me to get into the Mars-Saturn conjunction. Okay? So I had all right. I can't go there yet. I'm not ready to go there yet. But I will write about it. I can't quite verbalize it yet. It's all right. And you can follow my blog. By the way, the blog is going to start shifting. And it's going to be I'm moving away. I am moving away from dismantling the negative manifestations of the matrix. And I'm moving towards solution. My blog is going to be a solution-based blog. And I'm not going to be Pollyanna because it's just not me, but it's going to be moving in a different direction. And it's going to be about tools. I'm going to start to give people tools in order to get through these times ahead. Okay? So I did my big piece on Aurora, the Olympics, and timelines. And I put a ton of energy into that piece. And I've had less response from that piece than anything that I've ever done. And not that I'm into this for ego, but I do get a sense that if I hit something that means something to people, that they will respond. And people did not know how to respond to that piece. And maybe it was just a bit too far out for a lot of people. So I don't want to lose my audience. It's not what I'm here to do. So I'm going to dial it back, and I'm going to start passing out tools that people can use and have a more positive experience with their lives. There's another astrologer who made a wisecrack about, the Olympics ended and there were no UFO sightings, and no terrorist attacks. It's a good thing I don't take my predictions from conspiracy theorists. I thought that comment was asinine, to be honest with you. It was asinine. And and for me, I took it personally because what I do, I'm not a conspiracy theorist per se, although I can clearly say that there are things happening right now and have been for quite a while that need to be disassembled and looked at. And yes, there are conspiracies, period, end of story. And they're blatant. The economy is a conspiracy theory right now. It's not even a theory, it's fact, it's conspiracy fact. But part of what we do, part of what I do, part of what people like what Cliff High does is that we, believe it or not, people, and I have a friend, a really good friend, who sent me this email yesterday. She said, Robert, you're brilliant, blah, 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 but you've got to stop the dark stuff. You've got to stop feeding into the matrix. You're a battery, and they're sapping you, and they're tapping you. People don't necessarily understand that there is a role for people like myself and Cliff High and other folks who disassemble this stuff. We're doing something theoretically in order to keep it from happening. I mean, let's just say, for instance, nobody paid attention to what was going on in the Olympics. And if you did a search on the internet, you would have found thousands and thousands of hits about Illuminati Olympics, Rothschild Olympics, and those things are very real. And by the way, the Olympics are still going on. The Paralympics are happening. So people think that it's over. It's not. Theoretically, a lot could still take place. Not that I want it to, but it could. And to say that the Olympics are over is short-sighted. They're not. Oscar Pistorius, who's gone from the Olympics, is now going to compete in the Paralympics. So, on the other hand, and things did take place. These were illuminous spectacles. I mean, if you look at the closing ceremonies, one of the things that they had was the Phoenix, Flight of the Phoenix. And the Phoenix, of course, is the rebirth. It is the rebirth of England. It is the rebirth of a new age, the New Jerusalem, and it's the false New Age. It's the Luciferian New Age, although some people would say the New Age is Luciferian. I disagree with that. So these things happened. On a symbolic level, they happened. And just because, there wasn't carnage and there wasn't death and destruction and all these things that were supposed to take place, it doesn't mean that there wasn't a form of symbolic manipulation in a big way that took place during the Olympics, and it did. But if we had not gone into the Olympics, if we had not disassembled the potential for something to happen, who knows what could have happened? Who knows? So to say that what I do is simply feeding the beast, although loving and well-meaning, I think is erroneous and misplaced. That's my opinion. And I also think that there are people that, like I ran across this guy. His name is Seven Boamar, very interesting guy. And he had this post on his website about New Age Prophet, Profit. And he talks about, how New Age prophets prophesy doom and gloom, that they never prophesy that the world is going to be better. Well, the world is going to be better eventually. Sure, it will be. And it'll be better in stretches, for now along the way. But it's not going to, it's not going to turn Pollyanna anytime soon. But I'm telling you, there is a role that people play, and that role is to disassemble the matrix. And whether it's in real time or pre-time or past time. And I'm gonna stop there. Let's get a new call. Hello, you're on the air with Robert.
Hi, Robert. This is Michelle.
Hey, Michelle, what's going on?
I'm calling about the new moon in Leo.
Yes, that new moon. When is your birthday?
You'll know why when I tell you. It's December 20th. I actually called last week, and I happened to look at my chart.
Okay.
So it's December 20th, 1962.
Okay.
And the time is 12:29 p.m.
12:29 p.m.
And it's location San Francisco.
All right. Let's go all the way up here. Not many people are actually born in San Francisco. Do you know that?
I've heard that. I don't know it.
It's true. Not many. San Francisco is a place that people go to. So the new moon, which is going to be, it looks like to me, right, just over your Mars, just slightly over your Mars, and in your 7th house, correct?
No, it should actually be my 5th or 6th.
Okay,
Did I give the time right? I'm sorry. 12:29 p.m.?
Yeah, I've got November 20th. Is that what you said?
No, I'm sorry. December 20th.
December 20th. Okay. Let's do this. There we go. Okay, there it is. Yes. I see it now. So your new moon is going to be right on your Mars, right?
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, it's going to be right on your Mars. And just coming into the 6th house, leaving the 5th house. So, yeah, and you've got Mars conjunct. Well, it's not really. It's conjunct by, let's see, no, Mars trines your sun, and then it conjuncts, sextiles your moon.
So when you,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to ask, when you look at that, because I'm looking at my chart in front of me, is that, do you read Mars as a 5th or a 6th house?
I see it as a 6th house Mars. I mean, anytime you get within 5 degrees of the next house, you begin to read it for the house that's after the house, because it's beginning to conjunct the next house. So, when it gets really, really close, like if it's within 1 to 3 degrees, I'm almost reading it for that house, but your Mars is clearly in your 6th house.
Okay.
And Mars in your chart squares Venus in Scorpio up in the 8th. And well, the new moon on your Mars does 2 things theoretically. It would have you again focus and realign what you're doing with your energy, i.e. Mars, and not only with your energy, but like the earlier caller who had the new moon in her 12th house opposing Saturn in her 6th house, the new moon is directly in your 6th house. So you really have to think about what you're doing with your energy, what you're doing with your life, what you're doing with your purpose, and at the same time, it cannot necessarily be contemplative because of Mars. Moon on Mars is not contemplative. So you've got to move that energy. For you, if you want to get into that, the receptive capacity of the new moon, then you got to move your body. It's got to be a moving meditation. You've got to go on a walk. You've got to exercise. You've got to do something that gets you fired up, and at the same time gives you a sense of receptivity. You need to create a space for the energy of the new moon to enter. And part of this, I believe, would be getting out of your head. And that's why the martial aspect of Mars could be very important for you during this time. There could also be, as a result of this, some form of conflict resolution within relationship because of the moon and Mars square with Venus, and to a lesser extent Neptune. So, Venus in your 8th house, which is a big player in the square with Mars, is, for you, relationships are very, very transformative. That's why you get into relationships, theoretically, is to go into the depth of the relationship, go into the depth of the meaning of the relationship, and then resurrect your relationship to relationship as a result. That's always going to be your call, and superficial relationships are not going to be suitable for you. You need relationships that get into your core, okay? And this new moon, theoretically, will have you look at any relationship in your life, but particularly intimate and one-on-one relationships. And it would be, are they deep enough? Do they satisfy your ability to reach your core or allow you to get to your core? And part of this, too, is sexual. Because Mars square Venus, how you get to your core, how you get to this depth, part of it is through sexuality, and the new moon would have you reorient or begin to think along those lines, and it would be, do you have the capacity to do that? Is there the person in your life to be able to go there with? And if there is, can they take you to that depth where you're really breaking through hardcore conditioning? Because Venus in the 8th house in Scorpio is breaking through conditioning. That's what that's about. And Mars square Venus is also about power struggle too. And with new moon on your Mars, the question would be, can you have that type of dynamic, that type of friction, that type of generation of intensity without necessarily having conflict? And that's part of the mystery with this moon on your Mars. Can you shift friction and conflict to dynamism and energy? That's what that, and a lot of this too aligns with your purpose, because Mars in Leo governs your 6th house. It's the gatekeeper of your 6th house. And you're here to be of service to people with Pluto and Uranus there in your 6th house, radical healing, radical service, radical transformation. But with Mars, at the gate, at the apex of the 6th house, excuse me, you can't give your power away. That's really important. Just because you have Pluto and Uranus in the 6th house, you can't be a bit player. Mars is saying, hey, I've got to steer the ship. I've got to be the one that is driving this program. I've got to be the one that is kind of, in control and in charge. I'm not just going to be somebody who is going to take orders, going to take demands, just going to lay down, because that's the conflict with your Mars there at the beginning of the 6th house. You need to be a leader. You've got to be a leader in order to serve. And that may sound like an oxymoron, but I think that that's really true. And your Sun trines Mars. And your Sun is in Sagittarius. It's at 28 degrees. It's conjunct the galactic center. And you've got something to really share with people. It's really vital that people recognize your wisdom, your expansiveness, your ability to see the big picture. Your Sun is conjunct your midheaven. Just because you've got these planets, very strong outer ring planets in your 6th house, you don't have to give away the real profound potential for you to be for lack of a better term, a spiritual leader. It's very important. You have to balance this out. And the new moon will also, as it conjuncts your Mars, it will trine your sun. And this could be a very visionary moment in time for yourself as well. If I were you, I would go on a nice hike. I'd get up on Mount Tam or something like that, and I would hike up around Mount Tam because, number one, it moves the energy, and number two, it gets you out in nature, and your ninth house is all about nature with Sagittarius ruling that house, and your sun, as it conjuncts the midheaven, needs the highest point, the highest perspective. We talked about this, I think, last week with Pluto.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, on your Mercury. So here we go. I'm coming right back to that again. You need a much broader and objective point of view, especially on this new moon.
Okay. Okay. I'm working on it.
Okay. Well, get out there and move the energy.
I have since I talked to you. I think I mentioned you had a hip injury.
Yes.
So I'm fixing that, and I've been working out quite a bit.
Good for you.
In the last several weeks, so I'm getting the body back, a lot stronger. So I'm trying to move the energy.
Good, excellent. And the new moon is going to. I think the new moon is really positive for you, to be honest with you, and it will give you a sense of I can.
Well, I've been thinking about starting a new business.
Perfect. New moon on your Mars, gatekeeper of the sixth house. Excellent. What could you do on the new moon that would reinforce that decision?
Go get it started. I don't have a name yet. I've been trying to come up with a name for quite a while here, and it's Friday. I could go get a business license.
Absolutely. That would be an amazing affirmation on that new moon with Mars gatekeeping your sixth house. What type of business is it again?
Well, it's actually going to be something spiritually based. I kind of like astrology, but it's much bigger picture for me than that.
Yeah.
I've had a very traditional career, and I've been moving away from it the last couple of years. And so I think it's time just to take the leap.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's working with groups, teaching.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of what I've learned through my own transformation.
Right. So you've got Saturn in Aquarius in your 11th house, and I think we talked about that, and that's a perfect place for Saturn to show up in the chart to be able to facilitate that. So I wholeheartedly support this, and I think the business license on Friday would be a real profound affirmation.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I wish I could help you with the name.
Yeah, me too. I wish I could. It's not exactly as crystallized as I've had it. I've started businesses before, and last week you talked to me about thinking about being a CEO, and getting more into the CEO mode. And I have other opportunities to work with an inventor and to help him get to ground his vision. And then I'm thinking, there's more about, I've done quite a bit of teaching in my life. So it's now starting to teach about spiritual things instead of what I've taught about in the past.
Right.
And the name, I don't have it yet. And I thought about maybe doing something just, astrologically focused, which would be part of it, but it's not all of it.
Yeah, and the thing that you want to also take into account is that if it's not going to be completely astrologically focused, you don't want to limit yourself, and you want to have more of a broad-based and more of a mainstream kind of appeal. So I think something along the lines with Gateway. Play with Gateway because Mars is the gatekeeper of your 6th house, and the Sun is kind of the gatekeeper to your 10th house with the conjunction to your midheaven. I like Gateway because Gateway is really kind of an opening, and it's pretty open-ended. I would play with Gateway.
I think that's great. I think it's great. I mean, I'm doing something that's totally non-traditional compared to. I mean, I'm very well educated. I've done the traditional, one of the traditional professions, and so this is a big move to a whole new identity.
Okay, well, good. All right, so you got your walking papers. You know exactly what to do. You're going to go get this business license on Friday, and you're going to come up with a name for the business. I like Gateway. It doesn't have to, think along those lines because you're bringing people to sort of this next level theoretically of understanding. So, and gateways are exactly like that. They're portals. Gateways are portals. So, yeah, play with Gateway or Gate or something along those lines because I just think that you have a lot of gateway energy. Like Neptune is the gateway to your 8th house. It's right on the cusp. You've got your Sun on the gate of the 10th house. The gatekeeper of your 6th house is Mars. So this energy is kind of prevalent. If we look at astrology and find clues, theoretically, you could work with that in terms of the name. Okay?
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Very helpful, as always.
Okay. Well, let us know how that goes, all right?
I will. I'll keep you posted.
Okay. Take care.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. Very cool, huh? That's how astrology works. We are in the business here of empowerment. That's what we do. We're empowering one another on this planet. Everybody has dreams. Everybody has goals. Everybody has aspirations. That's what we're here to do. We're here to help each other understand what those are and to support each other theoretically. All right, let's go to the 860 line.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, it's our friend Sunshine. What's going on, man?
I've been doing okay. I just finished schooling. I just finished last month ago.
Yeah.
That's basically what I've been doing so far.
So when you say you finished it, did you finish the program, or did you finish? You finished. Okay. And what was the program?
Aesthetics.
So that means working with people in terms of what, like makeup, skincare, things like that.
Yep.
All right. And so what are you going to do with your newfound skills, or at least the certification of your skills?
Well, right now I'm trying to work with this lady to help me find a job because she does work with the school. And then my friend, which is kind of slow right now, like me and my friend want to do some kind of a business together, like a home visit, a spa visit, and a spa parties that we want to do together. So. Okay.
All right. So here's what you want to do with this new moon in Leo, because this is a great new moon for that kind of business. Leos are, I hate to say this, but Leos are vain. They're vain people. That's part of being a Leo. It's vanity. All right. So with the new moon in Leo, what you could theoretically do is you could really appeal not just to Leos, but to people's sense of vanity. And you are in some ways the business of vanity. It's making people, look better and feel better. And vanity has a place. I mean, I think the redeemed aspect of vanity is self-esteem. All right. I mean, so what you want to do is you want to be able to balance vanity with self-esteem. If you go too far over the line with self-esteem, people become vain. If you don't have enough self-esteem, well, a boost of vanity might help. So I think what you want to do, here's what I would do. I would look around the area. Where are you located again? Connecticut, okay. I would look around in Connecticut, and I would try to locate places where where you can plug into this whole concept of boosting people's self-esteem through vanity on some level, right? So, and it's not just the client self-esteem, but it would be the business owner's self-esteem, right?
Right.
So let me give you an example. Let's say you go to a place. Let's say you look around and there's a spa or a salon or a beauty parlor that could really use a facelift. Okay.
Right.
You could target that place on the new moon with all your materials, your cards, and and your personality. You could go into that place and you could say, "Hi, this is who I am. This is what I do. I would like to offer my services to you because I think I could not only bring you business, and I know you'd like business, but I see so much potential with your business. I see so much potential with this place. And I personally, what I would like to do is I would like to give you a free makeover. That's what I would like to do." And you locate 2 or 3 of these places, and these places would be diamonds in the rough. This is what I'm seeing psychically, by the way. They're diamonds in the rough. They're people that could use a makeover with themselves and their business. And you go into those places and they go, "Oh, wow, I'd really like that." So you give them the makeover, and then you look around at the business and say, "This is, I'd like to be able to work with you on call perhaps, or maybe one day out of the week." And you begin to build, these businesses from the inside out, from the owner out. And then you look around at the business, you can say, "You could use a coat of paint here. Can I help you on a weekend and paint this place?" "Oh, I'd love that. I don't have the time. I'm busy with my kids or this or that. I'd love that." And you go, "Oh, if we brought in a few plants and after the coat of paint, and we brought in let's bring in some Christmas lights, even though it's not Christmas." Things like that. Now, all of a sudden, you've transformed that place, and you've transformed that person. And not now, "Oh, gee, I love you so much. You brought sunshine into my life." Sunshine. Leo New Moon, right?
I was a big sunshine in school too.
Can you come in 2 or 3 days a week? "Oh, I'd love to. I love being here." This is where you need to go. You need to go find those businesses that need a makeover, because that's the new moon. You have the potential to transform these businesses, to bring more light, to bring a healthy dose of vanity. So I don't know where they are in your area. Go find them. One of them will be receptive to you, and you'll be able to plant. You'll be able to help them in a way that is not just their bottom line and their business, but their own vanity is not the right word, but their own self-esteem, and it becomes a mutually receptive relationship. That would be my advice to you on this new moon. And this is not something I'm even looking at with your chart. I'm going off into the psychic space for this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing too, and I'm getting this, something having to do with local TV. Local TV. I would, whatever the local news station there is, I would go there, and I would volunteer my services. Sometimes they have apprentice programs. I would volunteer my services and say, "Hey, I do makeup, I do makeovers, I can help with on-air talent. I would love to come here a few hours a week and either study with the person that is currently doing it, or I would like to volunteer and help you out, perhaps even on location shoots." Trust me on this, because I get a strong sense that they would be receptive, especially if you're volunteering, by the way, and it would be a real in for you. Okay? So go find the local TV station where you can volunteer. The other wouldn't be volunteering so much. It would be finding that salon or that, the beauty parlor or whatever that needs help. and we'll give you a day, and then again, all based on you doing a makeover for that person, free. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Anything else?
I'm not sure. I haven't been really focused on relationship lately like I used to, but even though that's kind of in my mind sometimes. But
you could just ground this certificate, ground your business. The relationships will come, the contacts will come. If you do what I am sharing with you, I guarantee you you'll experience success. But you have to go out. You have to beat the pavement. You have to find that place. And I know there's a local TV station that will take you on a volunteer basis, and it will lead to connections for you in a very big way. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Well, give us a call back and let us know how that goes. All right?
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. See you later.
All right.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay, so there we go. Sunshine. We're going to end on Sunshine and the new moon in Leo. I think it's an appropriate place to end today's wonderful show with all the wonderful listeners and people that call in and listen real time, or they listen to the stream and the podcast. And I want to thank all of you for doing that. Somebody snuck in, 714. Let's just talk to them really quickly. See who they are. Hello?
Hi, it's Nathaniel.
Hey, Nathaniel. Winding down the show, but I'm glad I clicked on here. So you sold your house?
Yeah, I sold my house. I got to be out in 30 days. I'm not sure where I'm going. I have no relocation money.
Well, at least you sold the house, though, right? You got out of that. Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Or maybe you can go visit your brother who owes you the money for all the useful equipment you bought for him, huh?
Yeah, he doesn't think he owes me anything, I guess, though, but I may bring that up. He loves to argue.
Okay, well, the spirit of the new moon on Friday, I think it's a great time for you to, let's see, you've got a bunch of stuff in Taurus, right? You got like a stellium in Taurus.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this new moon meaning home, will be a challenge for you on some level. But squares are not to be avoided. They're unavoidable, and they're not to be feared. So I would say that, how would you tap into that? I think you would tap into that through, well, I'm getting family, but maybe not your brother, okay? I'm getting family. I'm getting things like uncles. Uncles, not necessarily grandparents, cousins, older cousins. I think
aunts?
Aunts could, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, a family. Tap into family on this new moon, and it would be on the father's side though. So maybe it's an aunt on the father's side.
Yeah.
Okay, so tap into that. I think that's a place for you to potentially land. And if not with them, they would know somebody. Okay? So that would be my suggestion for you with this new moon.
Awesome, Robert. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Well, thanks a lot. I'll have to re-listen to the show because I just tuned in. I just got home.
Okay. Well,
I was at the doctor, so.
I hope that went well for you. And thanks for tuning in.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, appreciate it. And congratulations on selling your place, too.
Okay.
All right, Nathaniel. We'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, I'm glad I snuck that in. All right. Well, thanks to Nathaniel, Sunshine, Lenise, and all the regulars, Eric, who called in and added their own essence to the show. Your essence is my essence in many ways, and vice versa. It's the way it works. Okay, so use your head to discern what's real, your heart to discern what's possible. You've been listening to Navigating the Astrological Matrix. My name is Robert Phoenix. My website is robertphoenix.com. On Friday, be sure to listen in on my really scintillating conversation with Darren Williams, the brilliant researcher from Liverpool. It's a great, nearly 2 hours of information. Your head will spin, and don't miss it. Okay, thank you everybody for calling in, and I'll see you on Friday. Take good care.
In the name I am that I am, son of tomorrow, I call forth the light of the living word, beloved Elohim, beloved archangels, beloved mighty choans of the rays and the lords of karma. I call for the action of beloved Pallas Athena, beloved goddess of liberty, beloved Nada, beloved Kuan Yin, beloved Portia, beloved great divine director, beloved all-seeing eye of God, Cyclopeia. Let God's will be done, let God's will be done, let God's will be done. I do in the action of the sacred fire in this hour, descend on mighty cosmos, secret rays. I am the holding of the balance of Lord Gautama Buddha, beloved Sana Kumara and the seven holy Kumaras. I call upon the sacred fire, I call upon the light of God that never fails. Beloved mighty, I am present, come forth in this hour of the victory. Come forth in this hour of the victory of the God slain. I demand the full power, beloved mighty, be with us this night. Beloved Jesus, send it to me, Lord, my Savior, Gautama and Sana Kumara. Come Lord now in the victory of the God slain. Send the light of 10,000 suns. Beloved mighty, stand, mighty, stand, mighty, stand. Around this fortune now. I call upon the great single sun magnet. I call upon the light of God that